Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Siti Pauziah, NPM 19220268, and I'm from class BC 2019. And now I want to explain about interpreting and interpreter. Interpreting is change from source language to the target language by use spoken. Interpreting have two types are conference interpreting and liaison interpreting. Conference interpreting, that is, translator will listen and process information while talking almost simultaneously. This is very difficult and must flow naturally so that even participants can have fun. Familiarity with simultaneous equipment, many multilingual events are created with a booth where translator can observe the speaker, use equipment to listen to the speaker and send message to participants who use the recipients to listen and formal. And then liaison interpreting. Liaison interpreting are informal and used to facilitate understanding between two parties that speak different language, which could be two people, an individual, and a small group or two small groups. And now, history of the interpreting. The first written proof of interpreting dates back to 3000 BC, at which time the ancient Egyptians had a hieroglyphic signifying interpreter. The next widely known use of interpreting occurred in ancient Greece and Rome. For both the ancient Greeks and Romans, learning the language of the people that they conquered was considered very undignified. Furthermore, during this era and up until the 17th century, Latin was the language French, or the language of diplomacy in Europe, and therefore our nation had to have someone citizen who spoke Latin in order to carry on diplomatic relations. And then interpreter. Interpreter, a person who interprets or a person whose work in translating a foreign language orally. As in a conversation between people speaking different language, here are four basic types of interpreter. First, simultaneous interpreters. Simultaneous interpreter essentially do the translating live, meaning at the same time as what is being said. This is what we see on live news feeds, for example, where sometimes we listen to a delayed translation by a voice other than the speaker. Second, consecutive interpreters. Consecutive interpreter translate what is being said during pause in speech. This type of interpreting is usual for face-to-face scenarios such as meetings, court case, interview, etc. It can take place between two or many people. And third, whisper interpreter. This can be seen as halfway between consecutive and simultaneous interpreting. Translation is live in a sense, but without all the equipment. What usually happens is the interpreter sits next or near the person needing the translation and whispers what is being said so as not to disturb those around them. And fourth, phone interpreters. Phone interpreters essentially carry out consecutive interpreting over the phone between one or more parties. This is not to say that simultaneous interpreting cannot also be applied in the same way, just that it is used much more in a consecutive manner. An interpreter is usually working remotely dialect into a conversation and speak between the parties. Okay, this is an explanation about interpreting and interpreter. I think this is enough. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.